The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Leadership Podcast. And of course, it is Big Issue. And the big issue of the day is 2023 Presidency. Southeast at the mercy of Northern leaders. My name is George Agba, your regular host. And of course, as usual, I'm here in the studio with our in-house analyst, Silas Ezegu.
Welcome.
And Chibuzo Okabi.
Thank you.
And of course, we'll be trashing the big issue of the day, which has to do with the politics of 2023 presidency. And of course, yesterday, it became clear that the leaders from the Southeast geopolitical zone are actively engaged in moves to woo and curry support from their northern counterparts for the 2023 presidential race. And of course, Ohanaeze, the highest socio-political and cultural body of the Southeast, sent an emissary to northern leaders, both northern youth and the Northern Elders Forum, seeking their support, asking them to support an Igbo candidate for the 2023 presidency. And of course, the leader of the Northern Elders Forum, Professor Ango Abdullahi, had said last Saturday that the North remains the kingmaker in the country. No one can take that away. Of course, Ango Abdullahi went ahead to say that the North can still produce a president in 2023 and nothing happens. Just as he had finished making, no sooner he finished making that statement, that the Southeast leaders become moves to begin to curry support from the North. And of course, that led to a situation where Ohanaeze visited the Arewa Youth Consultative Forum. And of course, meeting its national coordinator, Alhaji Yerima Shetima, Ohanaeze Ndigbo presidential delegation team said the Igbos believe in dialogue, lobbying and negotiation to actualize their vision to produce president of Southeastern extraction. And Nigerians are asking, does the Southeast need to beg for the Northern support? And of course, the idea is that most Southerners, especially the Southeast, believe that that region, that zone, that geopolitical zone had been favorable to the North. What do you think, Chibuzo?
With regards to
The South
favorable to the North,
must they beg for presidency? That's the question here.
well, it depends on what you mean by begging. Begging indicates to some people that you go groveling, and begging makes you subservient. So some people, that's what it means. But is that what Ohanaeze has done? Because I can remember vividly when Ezefe, Chief Ezefe, the Okwadike said he was ready to beg for the position. Was a reaction by some other Igbo leaders that no, Igbos are not going to beg in the sense of begging that or go groveling for them to produce president. After all, it's a legitimate right that they deserve. So there was that reaction to that notion of begging in that sense. However, the same Ohanaeze has always also said that it is not adverse to consultation and reaching out and taking the other regions see reason why the Southeast should produce the next president. And they have made that point over and again for case of fairness, for case of equity, for case of inclusivity, and all of those factors. But they also make the case that it's not just about producing an Igbo man, that they are producing a Nigerian of Igbo extraction. Somebody who will see the country as his own and not just see the Southeast, but somebody who sees like who has a pan-Nigeria outlook for that is from this part of the region. So those are the narratives that have come up so far from the part of and it's expected that there will be some kind of grandstanding along the lines of regional because nobody wants to come off on the back foot on this matter. Nobody wants to come to the table on the point of strength. So as far as it goes, I think it's a good move that Ohanaeze has reached out, again to the north to see how they can come to a good place on why they should see Southeast produce the next president. So in that sense, I don't think it is anything wrong.
You see, Silas was asking whether the approach.
You mentioned
When you go directly to tell a people, or a group that come, we are taking. See, look at what leader of the delegation, as the general of the Ohanaeze Ndigbo, who led that delegation, Mazi Ukichukwu Isiguzoro. You see what he said? He said, "We are here to beg Northerners to support Igbo to get the 2023 presidency." That was from the point that coming. And the question I asked, is it the right approach of Ohanaeze to go cap in hand to beg Northern leaders to support Igbo presidency when Southeast has been supporting Northern presidency right from time? Silas, let me explain what I mean.
I understand what you
Southeast voted for Yar'Adua, who is a Northerner from Buhari State. Southeast formed alliance between MPP and MPN for sharing for sharing, which the Southwest refused to join. Those days,
Yes.
it was the same, and it was the same Southeast alliance that gave Tafawa Balewa Prime Minister. You understand?
Yes.
So these are what the Southeasterners
Okay.
are saying. That look, we have been too liberal to the North. When the Southwest,
the concept of that was what I was
No,
trying
see,
that is why we are asking them to beg.
no, listen.
They don't need
You know, see, the man who spoke, I think he used the wrong words. You
He
negotiate.
didn't reflect the position of the Southeast.
Yes. It's not to appear beggarly. After all, why they're asking for presidency so that they feel that they're part of the system, in the political system. Otherwise, the Igbos have done nothing well. If it's where they're coming from since after the war, when everybody got into giving it to 4 pounds, that's still 2 pounds. With all the investment they made over the country, and they have rebounded everywhere, commerce, industry, and everywhere. They're a big player in the country. But they are like the road that connects all over every tribe in Nigeria. So the word they're using is not appropriate. If you say they have come to dialogue and to convey their thoughts on why they should be supported to produce the president, but still you're begging. A beggar has no choice.
I've not chosen.
Beggars are not. The right word is beggars are not choosers.
I don't blame you.
I'm
sorry because people didn't know where I was coming from. It was based on the national security.
I cited
the guy.
Somebody had used that expression as well.
Yes, that's
And it was people a big team for using that word. So for this man to go back and use this word, it means that maybe people need to, those who are coming, it's not just because it's holding position as secretary. They need to bring those who have the diplomatic finesse in this kind of negotiation, who can put it on the table and argue it out. You need debaters.
Yeah.
That who are vast in the business of sophistry. They will convey. By the time they argue with you and put you in your life, you will see that the case are making. Even though they don't have a strong case, they see that the case is very, very big. So we need that kind of people, deploy the kind of people for this kind of negotiation, So they don't go and make it as if it's begging for food. No, that's not the woman. The woman is not a coward.
Let me even add to the concept of begging here defeats the place for competence. That is the mistake they also. I'm not a fan of. I've never been a big fan of this rotation thing. Speaking personally, because if you go that way now, it puts a position where it becomes much more of a purely sentimental issue than an issue that should be logical. The demand for the kind of president we want is somebody who will come and fix the fundamental problems we've always had in this country, and even the ones we have now compounded on ourselves. The security of this country is very, very key, very important. And before security, somebody who can forge a united front for all Nigerians, to make everybody have a sense of belonging. That is the first thing before it comes down to security, and then the economy and all the lives. So I think those are the things that should drive conversations like this. It should be at the heart of whatever other sentimental thing they want to put out there.
Because you're right.
That is what it is.
You're right. If you have the good presidency and the country does not improve,
so
how is it going to benefit? If I get kidnapped, I won't be kidnapped by Congress or anybody I know, and everyone is dead. How does it help me? If it does not put food on my table, on my children's table, how does it help me? Just that, or just to feel man is dead, it's not helping issue. Let me tell you something. Obasanjo was president. The president, apart from those who get appointments, there's some infrastructure development. People point to the fact that a lot of things that should have been done, even in Southwest, was not done. Were not done. When Jonathan was given power, he said he didn't do anything for his people. If I look at his projects, it's 7% on the north. In fact, the lists were south, and southeast. And I would say, I didn't do anything for you, and they say we're complete. So it's not as if that this idea that
look at the president now, he's from the north.
And
look at the devastation going on
even in his own state.
His own state governor is even.
I think the argument
to arm themselves.
The argument they should do, we have this kind of. You see, there's competence all over the country. Exactly. Unfortunately, many times we have chosen the wrong people. Okay, we go to every part of the country, have competent. What I expect those people to go and go? We have this kind of people with this kind of caliber, and we believe that this kind of people have what it takes to pull us out of the brink. See, by the time we present their credentials and assure them what I think that assure them that these people become president, that they are going to deploy their capacity to address the issues that this current government cannot address because of the local view that the president has accused of. Okay. Now, you see, Igbo people are cosmopolitan in nature. They are everywhere. They mingle everywhere. There are some people who cannot mingle with other people who are not from the area. The fact that Igbo man can come to every village and settle, build house, marry even from the locality, raise their children there, it shows that they are comfortable in every part of Nigeria. So this let us lie about it. There are still some people who are still holding on to some fear of the woman. And if you ask them in real terms what that fear is, they cannot really explain it. Just that it's something handed down from the past. But when you now interact and you say, okay, we are living with them here, the people who are living with you, are they troublesome? Are they the ones stealing, killing? They're not doing all those things. Why are you more afraid of the person who is not posing a danger to you? And the person who is posing a danger to you. So that is I think that whatever conversation they're going to have, they need to tackle that issue of fear of the woman. That's not it's there. It's there across, and especially those who are not traveled or moving good, there's this fear of the woman that is if you give me power, something will happen. What will happen?
They will pocket the entire country.
No, I look at that argument and say, what is this?
Yes.
If whenever they're operating, they go about their own
their
industry to succeed.
A typically woman is very intelligent.
So do we need those who are not intelligent? The people who are not intelligent that let us. Why did they just do?
Because of that madness.
So we don't need to start people again.
Argument anyway, but I don't think that would have even been the basis why you should deny him.
See, every country
take a shot at the president.
See, as a country, we are competing against other countries, and every country is supposed to put out their best.
And
So why would we begin with our worst? And we expect to succeed.
And there's something I've observed. You see, luckily last week, was it there last week, weekend also, the Middle Belt Forum and Southern leaders met. And when they met, they said that look, they are not going to vote, and they will not come out to support anybody, and they won't give up their vote. If a Southerner is not brought as the presidential candidate, I think they were telling the PDP and the governing APC directly that look, don't expect that we will support you if you don't fill in a Southerner for the presidency. But it seems that while this particular argument, even from the North itself, is in favor of the South, what I've observed is that whenever you talk of a Southern president, people look towards the Southwest, as if that has now become a majority and then there are minority within the South. Because from most of the true occasions I've heard of, the president from the South, it had always been thinking towards the Southwest. Why is it like that?
Well, I will attempt to give what I consider, what I think, what I think is unfolding or might be responsible for that notion. Whichever way we look at it, it's a good thing that you have that these regional groups are posturing and trying to put up a strong face in the interest of their region. And so at that level, yes, every region wants to fight for what it thinks is best for its people. That said, regardless of what they do, it comes down to some other stakeholders to determine how things pan out. And by that I mean, since it's a political issue, it comes down to the political parties. It comes down to who are the short callers in these political parties. What are the processes through which candidates emerge? These are fundamental things within these parties. Now, if you look at the APC, it is almost a given that the next president or the next presidential candidate of that party is going to come from the South. Some indices point in that direction. For now, number one, you have a convention coming up. All of the people who want to be national chairman are from one side of the country, which is the north. And by convention, we've seen that when the chairman of the party comes from one part of the country, it is usually expected that the president comes from the other side of the country for the sake of balancing and rotation. So that's why at times it baffles me when some people say they don't understand what this rotation thing is all about. So in the APC, it's relatively clearer where things are like the way things are going to pan out. And if you look also, most of the people campaigning to be president in the APC are from the South. So it will seem as if by default, whether you call it by default or by design, whichever way you call it, there's a clear direction of how things are going to. However, and this point I've made this point a couple of times, where the challenge really is, and I think that is why all of the noise is playing out the way it is within the former ruling party, which is the PDP. Because that is where all of this tussle appears to be really focused on. Because of the way they call it mismanaged or what handled their rotational arrangement, it has not put them in a position where they now have to decide whether or not they turn their ticket open or they do definite zoning. So that is the dilemma that is, I believe, creating all of this tension that we are having. let me try and do a quick breakdown. After after Yar'Adua's death, if you can recall, there was a serious demand for the power to return to the north, and that Jonathan shouldn't contest in 2011.
Yeah.
For some reason, the sentiments that drove Jonathan's the events at the time, how Jonathan was treated, how they're trying to deny him the minority, messaging and all of that, it drove the narrative towards allowing Jonathan continue the tenure. But there was an issue of whether or not he should do one term or he should do the
That was why five
governors
had to even defect.
Exactly.
The Niger State governor,
because there was a set understanding to do one term. Exactly. So you can see that all of these things devolved into what will happen, and that was why the PDP zoned its tickets in 2015 to the in 2019 to the north. But because the APC also had a president from the north, it was not an issue at the time. So now the PDP stakeholders in the north are insisting that those of them in PDP have not been able, the PDP members or the PDP, the north within the PDP has not enjoyed the zoning privileges it should have. That Yar'Adua was not given the opportunity to complete his tenure, the North's tenure. And so the North team should be allowed to complete that tenure. Whereas APC has already defined where it's to go. In the broader space, these groups, the regional groups, are saying, well, whatever thing you people are doing in your PDP, put it at the back of your mind that whatever internal rotation thing you have does not apply to the national space. And so whatever thing you want to do, fine and good, but the power must return to the south. And that is where the tension is coming. It became much heightened when the governors, PDP governors of the south, had a meeting with APC governors of the south and made this same demand for power to return to the south. And so you can see why the whole thing has become a lot more complicated than usual. So the challenge within the PDP more. That's why the party came up with that strategic move to say, okay, we have thrown the chain. But again, the fear in the APC is that if the party goes to the north, if PDP goes to the north, they will have a challenge if they throw the ticket down south. Because of the way, the fabled way the North vote, Northerners vote, they say they vote in both. But we forget too that in this same country, a Southerner had contested against the Northerner and won. We saw that with Jonathan. Jonathan did that in 2011 and he won.
We even saw that with Abiola.
We saw that with Abiola. So,
in the 20,
so it is interesting that these are issues that have come to define the kind of cacophony of voices we're having now
over the zoning issue. Well, thank you. Well, I think we have gone far behind that. The idea here is that there are people who are saying the only reason the North is grandstanding is because the South is not united. They argue that it is a phantom claim and rules that nobody can be president without support from the commons. That is a very brief. What do you think about that?
To see, the truth is that because of the way the North goes, because the voters are more controlled more easily, they're not independent minded. You have to get the buy-in of the North for it to win the presidency.
Yes.
That's the truth about it. So if you must win the presidency, you must have the North to face for you. The time that Jonathan won, he won from the North too.
So you need every part of the country to vote for you too.
You need everybody, but you cannot say you want to rule out the North.
No, you can't.
It's a big voting bloc.
Yes.
It's a bigger voting bloc that don't allow the job. So for you to win, you have to get the buy-in. That's important. Let's not forget about it. Everything is important, but that's also very, very important.
Well, that is the much we can take for today's edition of the Big Issue. Thank you for keeping tab with us. And of course, our in-house analysts, I must thank them too for a Very, very job well done. Join us same time tomorrow for another edition of this program. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.